Hey everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about where I spend versus where I save in my wardrobe. I think in general, we want our money to go as far as it can when it comes to our wardrobes so that we get the best cost per wear and the best longevity out of those pieces. So I think there is a place to spend a little bit more money in certain areas and a place where you can save. And just a few caveats before we get into it, I think it really does depend on what you like to wear and what you value when it comes to your clothing. And it even really boils down to what you do every day and even your climate. So take all of these with a grain of salt. These are just some of the places where I have both splurged and saved in my own wardrobe, and maybe some bits that I kind of regret spending the money on. So let's get into it. Before we go any further, I just want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Babbel. One of my goals in 2023 is to travel more. I am dreaming to go back to France, and ever since watching White Lotus, Italy, which is where Babbel comes in. Babbel is an interactive language app that can get you speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. In Canada, French is part of our curriculum, but I never took it seriously, and now I really wish I did, so Babbel is helping me brush up on my French. And by the time we're ready to travel again, I'm hoping to be able to order an Americano à la française. Bonjour, un café allongé, s'il vous plaît? How was it? I don't know. Is that right? Tell me. Babbel is designed to teach you real-world and conversational language skills so you can apply them practically throughout your travels. The lessons are designed by real language teachers, and you can even sign up for live classes if you want something a little more interactive and intensive. You can customize your lessons so they can be as long as you want, as often as you want, and if it doesn't really work out for you, then Babbel has a 20-day money-back guarantee. So if you're planning on doing some traveling this year or just want to learn a new language and a new skill, then you can click the link in the description down below or scan the QR code to get 60% off a subscription to Babbel. And let me know in the comments what language you want to learn. The other thing I want to do is brush up on my Ukrainian. I don't see that as an option yet, but my grandparents would be really proud of me, so Babbel, just a suggestion. Дякую. Okay, let's get back into the video. The first thing I've decided I'm going to be saving my money on moving forward are plain white t-shirts. Or plain black, plain gray, really any t-shirt in general. This even applies to graphic tees in some cases, because I've spent like pretty decent money on a basic white t-shirt only for it to become stained or have the collar warped, and for it to sort of get grungy and dingy over time. And because a white t-shirt in particular is such a fast mover in my wardrobe, I do have multiples, and I reach for mine multiple times a week. And because of this, it means that they get laundered more, they're at risk of getting stained or damaged or holes in them more. And compared to some of the more high-end t-shirts in my wardrobe, my most affordable ones have actually been my favorite. So I think a white t-shirt or just a basic t-shirt in general is something that you can save on. Obviously, where you may want to consider spending more money is when you sort of dive into the ethics and your own values when it comes to how you spend your money. The premium that you pay for these basics definitely increases as you get into better material, better manufacturing, all of that kind of stuff. But I think in general, a t-shirt is something that you can decide to save on. And especially when it comes to graphic tees, I've spent over $100 on a single graphic tee. I used to be obsessed with these like Anina Bing tees, which you could easily replicate and get the same look and not necessarily be flashing a brand logo by just simply thrifting or finding a cool vintage t-shirt. And in my opinion, a vintage tee, especially one that is thrifted, is just way cooler, it has way more of a story, and it even just feels and wears better because it already has that sort of like yummy, vintage, broken in feeling that only time and wear can really do for you. And if you are looking for a higher quality but still fairly affordable t-shirt for what it is, you can check out brands like Cotton or even Everlane. They have some nice, decently affordable t-shirts, or you can even go down to Walmart and get a 3-pack of Hanes men's t-shirts and they'll still look really cool. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. The next thing I like to save my money on are trend pieces. And this kind of is self-explanatory. It's because trends are really ins and outs when it comes to our wardrobes for most people. Although I really do like to consider a trend really in depth before I buy it, because for me, I want it to become a long-term part of my wardrobe and something that I wear over and over again. But it still doesn't mean that I need to spend a lot of money on it, because that trend piece is something that I'll probably still only wear on occasion, or something that will just add that little extra pop to my usual basic foundation when it comes to my outfits. So this is why, in general, I'm more than happy to buy into a dupe or even a thrifted piece that sort of follows that vibe, purely because I'm not going to be wearing it as often as my other clothes. And by proxy of me not actually getting a ton of wear out of that piece, it means it's probably not going to wear down as fast or fall apart as fast. And because my cost per wear ratio is actually not going to be that great, then I don't want to really put too much money up front to get that trend item. The third item I've decided to save my money on are Oxford button-ups. Over the years, I have invested in my button-up shirts from high quality brands, and I bought secondhand, swiped from my dad's closet, and even fast fashion Oxfords in the past. And to be honest, in general, there's not much difference. In fact, I would say the shirts that I have thrifted or stolen from my dad's closet have been of higher quality than even some of the newer, more expensive pieces that I've bought. Now, when I say Oxford button-up here, I'm sort of referring to that sort of stole my boyfriend's t-shirt, risky business kind of menswear vibe. So in this case, I don't necessarily think you need to buy into a higher end brand or an expensive piece to achieve that look. And in general, the button-ups I tend to lean into are 100% cotton, which you can buy at various price points. Basically, in this video, you're gonna find that any of these pieces can be thrifted, but if you are thinking about buying new, then I wouldn't necessarily splurge $200 on a button-up shirt. That's all I'm saying. The next place I like to save in my wardrobe is on purses. I have bought some bags new, usually on sale, but in general, if I want to get another purse, especially a designer one in the future, I am only going to look on the secondhand market. One, because the prices of things have really gone up, especially in the designer bag space. And in many cases, the quality of these bags has gone down. I've seen a lot of complaints about, like, for example, Chanel charging outrageous prices for a classic bag that isn't even constructed as well as a vintage one made in the 90s would have been. So even though for a designer bag especially, you're going to be paying a pretty penny either way, I think it's a better option to look secondhand just to save a few extra dollars. You can check out sites like Vestiaire, The RealReal, even your local consignment shops, and a lot of times you can even negotiate the prices on these. So I think with purses especially, it's a great opportunity to save some money rather than buying new. And the final place I tend to try to save money on is if the item is made out of synthetic fabrics. So I've been really trying to pay a lot more attention to fabric when it comes to things that I'm interested in buying. I do think there is a time and a place for synthetics. It can help with the sort of drape and construction of the garment, but sometimes I'm looking at sweaters or t-shirts or dresses that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars only to find out it's completely synthetic. It's basically made of plastic. And I'm just like, huh? And in that case, it becomes very clear that you're paying for the brand, for the marketing, maybe a little bit for the style of the dress, but especially when it comes to the things that I gravitate towards, it's all fairly basic. So you can find different pieces at different price points, potentially made out of better fabrics. So now that you know where I like to save a little bit of money in my wardrobe, now I'm going to talk to you about where I like to spend it. But I want to say, in many cases, more expensive does not necessarily mean better quality. There are still things that we have to sort of look into and to research to see if that money is actually going towards what we want it to do. All of these things that I'm going to talk about, you can find secondhand and at a lot of more variable price points. But this is where I personally have decided I'm okay with spending a little bit extra money. The first place I don't mind spending a little extra money on is with my jewelry. I have had costume jewelry in the past. I've had gold-plated jewelry, and I guess there's different tiers of jewelry quality, but I've had issues with costume jewelry in the past. For example, with earrings, they can really irritate my ears and cause redness and even infections. Some poor quality jewelry can stain your skin, and some people can even be outright allergic. These costume pieces never last as long as my real solid gold pieces. They tarnish, they turn brown, you can't get them wet, so they're super fussy. I never really take off my jewelry. Here and there I'll switch out an earring and rings, but overall, I wear the same jewelry every single day, so I want it to last. That's why, in general, I am happy to opt into spending a little bit more for a solid gold piece, just so that it will last and that I don't really have to think about it so much. I like my stuff to be low maintenance, and so I'm happy to spend a little bit of extra money to make sure that that's the case. The next place I like to spend a little bit of money on are denim jeans. And that is simply because I am such a denim lover. There is no other explanation other than that. And to be honest, I don't spend that much time going thrifting or shopping in person, things like that, where you can find amazing vintage denim for cheap, but you are knowingly trading your time to do that. For me, when it comes to denim, I usually know what it is I'm looking for, and I like to source my denim from vintage resellers who do charge a premium for that service. But when I do this, especially with my Levi's, I know I'm getting a good authentic product. I know that the jeans aren't fake or counterfeit, because that is a thing. And in my case, I shop my denim from a vintage reseller in California called All Vintage Denim, and you're supporting a small female-owned indie brand. So I think for me, especially when it comes to vintage denim, I'm more than happy to put my money there. And I've also put my money into more premium denim like a Goldie. And to be honest, I have not been disappointed. These jeans are in beautiful quality, beautiful construction, and beautiful fit. I think jeans are the hardest thing to buy in our wardrobes, and so fit and how you feel in them is so important, and sometimes I've had to pay a premium to get that. Obviously though, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. There's tons of really great mid-range denim that does the exact same thing. Like, I really like the denim form from Aritzia, Everlane is great, and obviously there's thrifting and shopping secondhand. If you guys want to learn more about jeans and what I look for when buying them, then you can watch this video right here. The next place I like to spend my money is on blazers. I am such a blazer gal, and I've spent $150 on a blazer to over $500 on a blazer in my lifetime. In general, I think you really only need 1 or 2 blazers in your wardrobe if that's the style you want to go for and if you actually like them. But for me, I wear a blazer pretty much every single day. It is such a part of my style that I just like buying them. But I think especially if you want to buy a blazer and really feel like you only need one, then I would spend some time doing some research and being prepared to invest a little bit of money in that place, especially if you're buying new. I would recommend looking into a 100% wool or majority wool blend blazer. I have bought fast fashion blazers in the past and even 100% polyester blazers, and they simply just don't feel as luxe or hold their structure as well as a really high quality wool or wool blend blazer will do for you. But because blazers are so versatile and can really be worn in any kind of situation and just sort of a one and done thing to elevate a look, and especially since you really only need one in your wardrobe, then this is something that I would consider putting a little bit of extra money into to make sure you get one that is high quality, that lasts, and that will literally be a forever piece in your wardrobe. The next place I like to make sure I'm spending a little extra money on so that I'm buying into quality is footwear. I just can't deal with an uncomfortable shoe, and especially if you buy a cheap shoe that ends up being uncomfortable, in the long run, it might actually end up costing you more money because you never wear them. That being said, I have bought shoes that were expensive and just as uncomfortable. Should I do an updated worst purchase video? I think it's time. But in general, I think it is important to invest in your feet. Whenever I am looking into getting new footwear, even like fancy sort of date night footwear, I want it to be well made and I want it to be comfortable. And sometimes that does mean paying a higher price point for those things. And finally, the last thing that I am more than happy to spend money on, especially because I am Canadian, I live in Toronto, we have all 4 seasons that come in with a vengeance, especially winter. So that means I'm gonna spend some money on winter coats. This especially includes things like parkas and overcoats. I used to really cheap out on this because really it was the look that I was going for and not necessarily the warmth. But as I get older, I really value being warm. So if the coat is warm and good quality, I am going to be looking to invest in that because you can wear it for season after season. These are things that can really truly be timeless in your wardrobe. And if you think about it, you're really putting these things through it when you do wear them, especially if you are sort of trudging through winter weather, all of that can be really rough on your clothes and really cause a lot of wear and tear. So I am happy to spend money on brands that are a little bit more reputable, that are known for their outerwear and their quality. And if you're looking into coats that are more like a fashion piece, but you still need it to be functional as good outerwear, then definitely pay attention to the materials. It's not necessarily just the look that you want to be going for here, although I do think that is important. But that to me is something I consider after things like construction, material, and how warm it's actually going to keep me. So if we're considering things like overcoats, you want to make sure that it's a majority wool or wool cashmere blend. Polyester will probably show up in there, especially with a lot of the newer coats that come out these days. But the more natural wool fibers, cashmeres, silks, camels, then the warmer it's going to keep you. And in my opinion, that's much more important. And you'll probably end up actually wearing the piece because it's keeping you warm and not just fashionable. So those are some of the areas where I like to spend versus save when it comes to my own wardrobe. Some of these things have to do with durability and construction, while others simply have to do with me just wanting to spend my money there. But if you are in the process of building your wardrobe or even having to replace some things, I hope this video helps you sort of consider where you can spend some extra money and where you can save it. Leave me a comment and let me know where you like to spend versus save in your own wardrobe. And if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up. It's the best way that you can help support my channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks again to Babbel for sponsoring this video. If you were interested in giving them a try and learning a new language, you can get 60% off your subscription if you scan the QR code or click the link down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.